Welcome to Make a Path Presents. I'm Ronnie Hayes, and today let's reveal what Skybound is talking about. Skybound and The Walking Dead in the comic book universe, not AMC's The Walking Dead, but the comic book universe of The Walking Dead put out this really cryptic tweet. I'm sure it's on Instagram and everything else, but I saw it on Twitter, and it says, "The axe will fall tomorrow." It's got nice atmospheric graveyard look to it, with an axe and a book bag. And whistling. So a lot of people thought it was Clementine, obviously. I mean, there's an axe in the Clementine games, and then she had a book bag. The book bag's not identical. I knew that right away just by looking at it, because she never had that little unicorn, rainbow unicorn looking thing on it. And I remembered Skybound had something announced a year ago about a VR game, so I thought, let me look that up. And sure enough, here's what it was. Skybound announces the Saints and Sinners VR game, and here's the poster art. Identical axe, handle cover. It looks like there's even notches in the handle. The bloody tip of it and everything. I mean, it's identical, and it says "Live It" in 2019. So I'm sure tomorrow's going to be the reveal trailer for this VR game, which I'm hoping it's done in a more comic book art style, and it has a better blend and balance between game and realism. But when I say realism, I mean grounded within the comic art style, but not cartoony. The reason I say that is because AMC's The Walking Dead already has a VR game coming out, and they did this gameplay announcement trailer. I found two videos. The first two I clicked on. This YouTuber, I guess, was able to go and test it out. And one problem with the VR games, I love the idea of a VR game. One problem with it, though, is you look stupid. You look like an idiot, you know? So it's a good thing you're doing this in your house, in your spare time. Well, you can't see homeboy and how he looks over there, so let me just slide my camera down here. But you gotta move the stick like you're walking. You are Rick Grimes, which is just a poor impression of Rick's voice.
Well, by my reckoning, that should be more than enough to save some lives. Ready to go?
That might be Eugene.
Supplies are gonna help a lot of people. It's been a bad month.
Well, by my reckoning, that should be more than enough to save some lives. Ready to go?
Let's get to the
Maybe it's not, but that Eugene sounds decent. But Rick?
man.
Hey, everybody.
Rick doesn't sound like Rick. I mean, it sounds like a poor impression. But the thing is, here's an idea. Now, this is not the game that Skybound is advertising. This is AMC. But I'm giving you an idea because we don't see a lot of VR games. I don't talk a lot about VR games. Basically because they look really cheap and shitty at this point in time. Yes, they're going to grow and develop. I hope so. I hope one day we can get VR games that look as good as regular games today, like The Last of Us and Days Gone and stuff like that. I'm not really sure what about them gives them this look, but all VR games have this look. As a matter of fact, first-person and third-person games have a distinctive look between the two. With first-person games, you almost never get that same type of detail in your enemies, and for the life of me, I can't understand why. I mean, it's a video game. If you could do one, you could do with the other. I don't understand. Maybe it's a perception thing. I'm not really sure, but it looks like a modern day arcade. You know, a little bit better definitely better graphics for what we had back in the day in the arcades. But you get what I'm saying. You know those shooters where you'd run around and shoot in the House of the Dead or whatever. So there's neat ideas here. You can grab the zombies, but it just feels or looks kind of clunky, and I don't know. It wouldn't be something that I would run right out and buy. So the reason I'm showing you this is because this is what we're getting essentially with Skybound's VR game. I hope the style is a little more crisp and different than what we see with AMC's VR game. But going back to what I said with them looking similar, first-person shooters for the most part have a really similar distinctive look, unless they're stylized, but they still have that first-person shooter, you know, I don't know the word I'm looking for, but it's a distinctive vibe to how you see the world and the characters and the atmosphere, as opposed to third person, which I prefer. I love first person growing up, but I prefer third person because it just has better graphics and overall it's winning me over more. But I you know, my heart still loves the first person games. And when it comes to the VR still has, if you look at all the VR games out there, they still have these distinctive looks, like a movie that throws a character over a bridge and they use a full body doll and the way it falls. The characters in VR games look like that frequently. I think pretty much every game I've seen, they've looked like that. Especially, and I think maybe almost exclusively, the dead characters. And it's weird because you would think you would have it programmed to where the character joints have like stop limits so they don't fall in the weird ragdoll type of ways. Let me go back and kind of just double check and then we'll shut this down. Maybe if you get a visual you can see better at what I'm talking about. See, some of that was pretty solid, how it fell right back. The walker just fell right back. I dig that, but you kind of see the floppy little arm. And here's the thing, and it might be nitpicky, but it's a big thing for me with the gameplay and what I'm talking about, stepping it up a bit. I feel like it would be a minor tweak. Give the arms a little bit of more weight. And if, let's say, there was a meter for how much they would wiggle and flop, add a little more weight to them so they would wiggle and flop a little bit less. It just gives it some weight to it. And that's important. Having that weight in a video game, in a movie, is very important. And it's a combination of the sound, the thud, but also the look of it. You have characters, what was a good example I was showing off in a video game where you had a character that got shot up and just, I'm trying to remember exactly, but the character, oh yeah, the character blew up. And they flew like 50 feet in the air. Their body was just all over the place like a rag doll. There was no weight to it. And it just kind of made the explosion feel like a firework, like a poof, and then they're out of there. Even though the body flew, you know what I'm saying? 50 feet in the air and was all over the place. It took away some of the weight. Then I played another game where the explosion happens and the character might have moved to the side. It wasn't this, you know, it was more realistic with Cloud and it had this oomph and this kick to it. But a leg might have blown off, but the zombies had weight to them when they flew. You know what I mean? And it's not like they shot 50 feet in the air and it's all ridiculous, but they had this weight where it was like, and then they dropped to the ground. Some limbs ripped off. I'm doing a terrible job at explaining it. I wish I had some visuals, but anyway, this is what it is. This is what it is with Skybound: The Walking Dead, Saints and Sinners. It is a VR game. I'm not sure what system it's going to be on. Maybe we can look at the old ad here. If you ever wanted to physically be in the world of the Walking Dead comic, you're about to get your wish. Today we are proud to announce that in partnership with Skydance Interactive, maybe we should look them up too, in Skydance Interactive, we are releasing the very first Walking Dead virtual reality game you'll be able to play at home, Saints and Sinners. Well, they better hurry up. AMC's doing one. The game will allow players to test their survival skills in a post-apocalyptic New Orleans as they explore iconic quarters of the flooded city. The players will have to make the crucial decision on if they want to be a saint or a sinner. Okay, so that's the gimmick. You could be a good guy or a bad guy. That I kind of like. The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners will launch in 2019 on VR. Platforms will be announced soon. We included the key art and official press release below. Now, if they didn't announce the platforms, they will likely be announcing that tomorrow. I'm sure you could do a quick Google search. I don't think that's necessarily all that important, whether it's out now or out tomorrow. But like I said, it will probably have the release date maybe, but also the trailer. So I expect the trailer first and foremost. Production company, what else did they do? Released Flyboys, True Grit. Oh, these are movies. Well, shit. Games. Skydance Interactive. Anything? The Walking Dead, Saints and Sinners. Alright, so Skydance has worked on movies, and this is the very first game, it looks like. Interactive game studio focused on developing ambitious titles, projects. How, if you only did one game? It launched in 2016. In 2017, its first VR game, Archangel, was launched. Game recently expanded into an online multiplayer upgrade, Archangel Hellfire. Alright, so they did one game, Archangel Hellfire, and then the second game, it looks like, is going to be the Walking Dead one. Let's check this out quick before we close this out, to give you guys an idea. Archangel Hellfire. Alright, so this is a little more cartoony. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think you could get much from that. Here's Archangel VR footage. And there's not a lot of detail here in the environment, so it's going to be really hard to get an idea of what Saints and Sinners will look like. Now, Archangel, since The Walking Dead is a comic, and this has a little bit of a cartoony look, a flashy, colorful look to it, maybe this would be a good fit with the cartoon universe. It would be really cool to have something, again, focusing on a style and not so much grounded in reality, because you're going to get that gritty with AMC's The Walking Dead, so you don't need it competing with it, because people are either going to pick one or the other. And if you have something more stylized, chances are Walking Dead fans, if they're getting into VR, there's not many options if you're a Walking Dead fan, so you'll buy both of them if there's that, distinctive difference. But if they're both visually identical, they'll probably just pick which one their favorite and then stick with that. But if they have that visual and the atmosphere, environments, and you have those differences, and when it's combined together, it'll seem like a lot bigger. It'll multiply the difference, and they'll likely buy both. So, all right, so that's what it is. Let's get this out of here. We did a little bit of research. Saints and Sinners, you guys let me know if you're excited for this. I don't have any VR platform at all, so I'm going to give this a pass. I would love to play around with some VR, but that's on my to-do list far from now. Thoughts and opinions in the comment box. I'm done talking. It's your turn.